Alrighty then, welcome aboard everybody. Let's get right into it here tonight. Again, it is Friday night. Don't want to waste any of your time. Never like to waste time, as you guys know. So let's get right into it. What are we going to talk about tonight? Tonight's topic, we are going to talk about the infamous, the amazing ignition bar. If you don't know what we're talking about here, we're going to talk about it tonight. Those of you who were in with us this week, we had 2 big days that this played right into what we wanted to do. Again, it's not an all-encompassing strategy, but it is something you should have as part of your arsenal, especially if you guys are trading along with us. Make sure you guys understand what this is. If you guys have questions, of course, you can pop those over in the chat box there. We are live streaming this right now, and this will be available, I guess, sometime this evening after we get that. YouTube's got it all, you know, they do their thing. So let's get right into it here. Yeah, first thing, let me give you guys a sneak peek of what this is going to be. So how we traded it this week, up here, top right, we're going to talk about this spot and this spot particularly, what time frames, what ranges this is on. Again, kind of walking through what we did this week. Just for an example, today was a huge day, 6,400. Yesterday was a 7K day. We're going to show you guys how we do it, what we do with it. We'll take care of some housekeeping here in just a moment. Let's get this thing started, shall we? We shall. Here we go. Hey, stay tuned. Let's get right into all the details. Let's do this. Alright, so a little eye candy, ear candy there. You know we like to have a little bit of fun around here. If you're not having fun doing it, that means you're doing it wrong. Don't forget, we talk about that all the time. Speaking of other things we talk about all the time, let me get some housekeeping out of the way real quick. If you guys are not already following us on Twitter, that is a major no-no. Again, this is not your typical, hey, you know, follow me on Twitter and Facebook just because, and I'm looking for, you know, the likes and subscriptions and all that. Look, we don't make money on our subs. We're here to trade lives. It's something that we do differently than any other organization that I see out there, especially on YouTube. A whole lot of garbage out there to filter through. You guys know if you want to be here, this is the place to be. If you don't know how to do that, again, we got a few questions that came in earlier this week. Again, people asking, you know, how do I get in the room? What's the best way to get in the room? If you're not following us on Twitter, this is what it looks like. It's real easy, folks. Just go over to Twitter, get yourself an account. It's not hard. You can make a, you know, a junk account if you want, just to be able to get notified for this. But I highly recommend you get it on your phone. Make sure you punch and make sure you set up the notifications on this. We send out in the morning. You need to look at our trade plans that we post. This is where we put all of our trade plans. We walk through every market that we trade. Again, there's only 7 markets that we trade and set up, and we start that out for sure at the very beginning of the week on Monday. It's a critical day to make sure you guys have that information as we set it up that week, and then that follows through the rest of the week. But I set up every morning with you guys, so make sure you're following us here. And then, of course, to get the immediate link right here, this is what a premium room link looks like. For those of you who've been asking, and we get some questions sometimes, you got to come here. You're looking for this right here. This means you're getting to premium right here. You click this little button. This is going to take you right into the live session if you have access. Again, this will be VIP members only. This is actually the entire recorded session. Again, you'll be able to watch this afterwards. This was today's session. This is us walking all the way through it, having a little fun when we started out this morning, finishing the day at 6K. You can walk through and see all the trades that we do, but if you haven't done that already, make sure you do so. Other thing you need to do, we actually posted out the entire week just a few moments ago. I created a playlist for you guys if you want to go check out the trading this week right here on our channel page. If you haven't been to the channel page, make sure you get over here. This is dark mode. If you guys aren't using YouTube dark mode, you can go up there and set that in your settings. Then your YouTube will look really nice and cool like this. I really like the new dark mode version. Pretty cool stuff. And if you're looking for the training and the trade setups that we did this week, we did a lot of training in the room, so you can kind of get yourself some free training as well. Watch those 5 videos this week, Friday through Monday. Again, it was an all green week, beautiful week this week, great examples. We had some tough days. We even had a drawdown day where we took a pretty significant drawdown and then made it all the way back in the opposite direction. Beautiful stuff. We just followed the plan from beginning to end. Beautiful stuff. Go check that out. All right, talked enough about that. Let's get right into the trading strategy itself. we're going to be talking about tonight. If you guys have any questions on how to get involved with us, of course, that's the last thing I didn't talk about was the actual website, which is where you're going to get all of the other training and whatnot, which does link over to YouTube. Okay, but if you haven't been over here to the website, make sure you head here, fill out that mentorship application. All the details are here on this menu. A lot of the people don't know that is a menu button up at the top. Make sure you punch that menu. You can schedule an appointment with me if you've got questions specifically. You can download the indicator toolbox right there and the 2-week free trial. Some people didn't know that we've got a 2-week free trial. Folks, it's right there. All right, again, it's not a gigantic button over here. We're not here, this marketing machine, whatnot, but folks who are looking for a mentorship program, they sit there and trade with the team live, this is the place to be. There it is. Okay, for real this time. We're done with all that. Let's get right into the trading strategy itself. Again, tonight, what are we going to be talking about? We are talking about the ignition bar training strategy. 7K pulling down yesterday as well as today. And both days, this was a big part of what we did. So we talked about what we talk about tonight. A lot of people had some questions on it. How did we find it? How do we develop it? What do we do with it? So let's look at this NQ chart here. I've got this zoomed in, and I want to zoom in here just because I want you guys to focus your eyes as I zoom back out, and I want you to look at these spots here. All right, let me do yellow here. All right, you're looking at this spot, this one right here. Now, this was something different. This is a down 2 finger, but I want you to look at these 3 spots, particularly these 2. These were our 2 big ones here. What's up, Wham Master? Yeah, you didn't know about that dark mode? That dark mode is pretty awesome. All right, but right here, you're watching these. What are we going to do with these? How do we apply them to our trading strategy? What exactly is an ignition bar? If you want to know just right off the bat, what's the ignition bar? That's an ignition bar right there. That's an ignition bar right there. We'll show you the definitions of how we know that, what we do with it, etc. All right. So let's zoom back out and let's see how this was set up. Okay. Now, the arrows that we draw, these are not hindsight. We draw these and kind of draw and predict where the market is going to go. And yes, we do draw these up every morning ahead of time before the market opens. And that's what you're seeing right here. Various plans along the way. But we're going to be, again, focusing in on how did we make money off of our normal strategies, but how does this particular, I'll call this a technique, not necessarily a strategy. There's a difference, right? A strategy to me is a full end-to-end setup, entry, stop, target, and when to take that. That's a strategy. A technique is something that adds to the strategies you're already using. Okay. However, this could be designed as a strategy to go, I am going to wait for this initiation right here, but then you're going to need to plan a strategy around what you're about to see right here. But you can take this and apply this tomorrow if you've got range charts. So let's start with number 1. A chart is not a chart around here unless you are using a range chart. Number 1. If you are using, where did my jams go there? If you are using if you're still using time charts, you are likely losing money. I don't think you should be using time charts, especially if you're a day trader. Time charts are where every semi-good trader goes to die. Don't use time charts anymore, folks. It's 2018, all right? 1980s called. They want their cellular phones back that were the size of, this desk. You need to be using advanced technology. You need to be using new techniques, and if you're using time charts, it's like trying to make a phone call on a payphone in 2018, right? You just don't do it. All right. So first of all, get yourself on range charts. Now this is going to particularly come from our highest time frame. Again, we use a triple screen setup: the tide, the wave, the ripple. The highest time frame for us is going to be the 89 range. So what we're going to be talking about here tonight, this is going to be always starting at the 89. Now you can apply this to other ranges. People say this all the time, but you need to start this at the 89. And again, this is a range chart. There are very specific reasons why we trade range charts. I won't get into those tonight, but we've got plenty of videos on understanding and explaining why we use range charts. And again, our job is to predict one bar at a time and make money on that bar as we predict it. Hopefully a larger time frame, and then enter down on a smaller time frame, what we call the ripple chart. All right, 89 range is where this begins for our ignition. All right, so set your chart up, get yourself set up on the 89 range. And then of course, this is where every Monday morning, and then in the mornings when I come in and try to adjust, because again, the 89 range is such a high range, if I make the adjustments and set up for on a Monday, if the market is a slow week, the stuff on that higher time frame, I may not need to make any adjustments. Whereas on a lower time frame, I'm going to need to be making adjustments maybe on a daily basis, which we do. Okay? So let's zoom back out here real quick and kind of show that. So the top left chart up here is our 89. And again, over here we've got NASDAQ. Both of these are NASDAQ charts. These are kind of connected together. Over here we have the Dow. These two are connected together. Okay. So again, Dow over here, NQ over here. This is what we call the top one up here. This is going to be the tide. This one is going to be the wave. All right. And then the Ripple chart down below. Again, if you're kind of looking at my screens here, I'm waving my arms around over here on the left. Top charts up here. These are my larger time frames. And then my Ripple charts down here, bottom right. I'll show you guys a quick screenshot of, not really a screenshot, is it? The actual charts down here. This is the Ripple chart setup that we use for the entries. Top left, well, really the two top charts there, those are using the MACV entry system. And then on the bottom, we've got our algorithmic bars. These are what we call the candy bars. They make everything sweeter. It's like taking candy from a baby. There's a lot of little fun isms in there, but we are renaming those to the algo bars to take things a little more seriously because people don't get Vinny's crazy sense of humor. So algo bars it is. So starting up here, we are starting way up here in this on the 89. Why? Because if you got 89 ticks for one single bar, that's what that means on the range charts. That means 89 ticks from top to bottom. You've got a range of 89 to work with. Now, we want to zoom in on this ignition bar, but you still have to take into account what your current strategy is. You have to already be looking for a direction. So let's zoom in here and look into yesterday. We actually had this drawn up. Let's zoom this back where we can't see all of what happened, although it's really no way for me to cover that up. This was yesterday's trade starting right here. So let's zoom in here. Yesterday we were trying to trade this in this location. And this bar showed up. Let's see if I can move it one more space over. Is it going to let me? There we go. So this was the trade setup that was coming. We had the market drawn up and we had arrows up to this location up above us was where we were looking for the trade setup to get to. And we bounced off of the golden ropes and we were looking for this location. Now, what gave us confidence to take this trade comes exactly from what we're talking about tonight is the ignition bar. What's the ignition bar? Okay, the ignition bar is right here. And they're pretty easy to visualize. It is a bar that is solid. I call it a solid bar from top to bottom with not very much wick. With not very much wick at all. Okay, there is a little tiny wick. If you look in on that bar, there's a little tiny wick in there. Okay, we'll actually zoom into the bar and kind of get into the dynamics of what it is, because I'm going to tell you, again, you might see a bunch of those though. You might be like, oh, well, I see a bunch of ignition bars right there, right there. So is this one an ignition bar? No. Okay, so I'm just trying to show you guys the difference here in the wicks. That one, no. There's an ignition bar. And I'm going to tell you guys how you can ignore bars like these and how to know when an ignition bar is going to be what I'm about to show you. So this ignition bar right here, we're going to be looking to get long. And again, this entire space, it looks like it's only, it's only one bar, but remember from top to bottom, this is 89 ticks. Would you guys like to make an 89 tick trade? Who wouldn't, right? As a day trader, if I can catch 80 ticks in a trade, awesome, rocking it out, right? It's a beautiful trade if you can catch 80 ticks. Again, that's not necessarily what we're trying to go for. On the low side, we're trying to get 13 ticks. High side, we're trying to get 28. That's about our range, 13 to 28. And then every once in a while, we catch a big runner to around 50. We're not typically trying to hit 89s, although on occasion, we do get ourselves a nice big fat runner like this one right here. Early this morning we had an opportunity to do that too, but let's again focus on this one, then we'll come back into today's, because we went both directions. Yesterday we were taking an ignition bar to the north, all right, and on the other side we're taking it short. So again, pretty simple. We're looking for one of these. Now when one of these comes up, a lot of people might be thinking, but if we're coming up into this area, you're looking back to your left here and you see this right here, aren't we going to, you know, maybe take some pretty, you know, big heat coming right into this area? It's possible, right? We know that there's resistance here, but again, we had our plan already drawn up from stuff that we had looked way back, and we're looking at fib levels, a lot of other things. We have our fib circle that you can kind of see here, and I won't get into the details of that tonight. I just want to show you how we add in the ignition bar. And when I'm talking about an ignition bar in the room, so you guys who are working with us, no, I know I've been talking about the ignition bar yesterday and today extensively in our trade setup. And again, if you guys want to watch the entire trade session from end to end, we got the entire week this week that I released from the private from the private VIP room. I did release that public. Last week's stuff is out there for you guys if you want to go check that out. A lot of good training that went through this week. We talked a lot through, even Wham Master himself made some big improvements. You can probably hear me yelling at Adam at some point this week. I was pretty, look, as a mentor, I'm kind of a mentor and coach, but I also kind of think of myself as a drill sergeant at times. I'm not the nicest guy on the planet, but I am going to beat you up until you get this right. That's the difference between me and some other rooms as well. You know, they want to coddle you and be nice to you and say, hey, it's okay, we'll pat you on the back, it'll be all right. No, this guy is going to yell at you when you're doing the wrong thing. Ask Wham Master. Am I right, Wham? Troy, I've been giving him a hard time. He is sort of the he's taken the heat recently. He's the most recent recruit into what we're doing. He's got platinum access, and we are making sure that he's got everything that he needs, and he is focusing in on what I teach every brand new trader is the WHAM. All right, the WHAM is one of our best trade strategy setups, yet at the same time it takes a lot of things for a new trader to make sure that you're drawing those lines properly and getting the proper locations, as he can attest to. Yep, exactly. All right, so ignition bar is in. How does this add to this added to my confidence? Basically, here's how it is. The short of this is, when you see an ignition bar, there's no going back. All right, if you are on a 3 or a 4 location, okay, now on a 1 or a 2 bar, I don't care. And what am I talking about? So in a series of bars, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3 from a pivot. All right, if we're talking about the start of a direction, bar 1, I'm not so concerned with this one, because technically, look at this. This visually looks like an ignition bar, right? You guys can see that. It looks like an ignition bar. Second bar there in the series, that's not an ignition bar. It's pretty obvious. But on a third, on bar number 3, if this is a bar number 3 and it's an ignition bar, here are my kind of rules around this ignition bar, especially if we are going in the direction of the tide. Remember, we were talking about the tide chart. Okay, now if we're on a wave or something and it's going against, there are different rules, but when we're going with that direction, which you'll also see on, I don't have a longs, here we go. Got a longs favorable example right here. So in the middle of our entry charts, we always have a notion knowing which direction is favorable. It's going to tell you right there. And if you don't have our indicator pack, didn't mention that earlier, but actually I kind of briefly did. Download that free. Get over at tradevinny.com/indicators, and again, you'll get everything that you're seeing here on my screens, and this will also load up my templates. I know this might be overwhelming, but all you have to do is right click and add my templates. You can go download those and apply them to your charts. You can have them immediately. It's actually video number 2 in our training that will walk you through how to get your charts set up if you haven't done so already. And of course, if you're trying to figure out how all of our stuff works, make sure you go and watch video number 1 on how to get started with us, because there's a lot of details in there. So in our favorable direction, and then you get an ignition bar. There is no way I am going to trade against an ignition bar. If an ignition bar comes in on the 89, this is just one of those things that really helps out statistically for ourselves, that I am not going to trade against this bar. And in fact, as soon as this bar forms, I may not necessarily immediately just jump in here and start buying, right? I may wait for a little pullback, but I'll just start looking down at the wave and at the ripple chart, and I'll look for an opportunity. I'm still going to look for the best entry. I got my timing setups, right? I've got my red dot, green dots, especially if I get a double dot scenario. You guys know all the trade strategies that we use for the entries, or a MACV. Lots of ways for the entry in the strategy, but that ignition bar tells you, heck yeah, if we have an opportunity, we're likely not going to break this low. We're likely not going to blow away this bar. Okay, it's going to be very difficult. At least not before we put up some juice in this direction. And again, on an 89 range, even if this goes up, you know, half a bar, it's 40 ticks. If it goes up even a quarter of that, we're talking about 20, right? Again, everything is in quarters of 89. Or halves of 89. Think about that number, right? Half of that's going to be like 45-ish. So it's a great range. It's why we use it. Again, 89 is part of the Fibonacci series that we use. We use 89, the 33, the 21, the 13, the 8, the 4. All those are fib numbers. The highest one that we're using, 89 range. Again, I'm just trying to, I know I'm kind of throwing a lot of information at you guys. Make sure you guys are taking notes. Forgot something at the very beginning. Make sure you guys create a playlist. If you guys already don't have a YouTube playlist, that's a day trading playlist. Make sure just, you know, pause the video right now, go down there, hit add to playlist, create playlist, and create it called day trading. We got a lot of stuff that you need to add in there. That last video we did on the wedge trading is very important to have as well. All right. So 89, we're not going to trade against this ignition bar. We're looking for longs. It's an automatic for us. We're looking for longs, and we already had this in our plan to try to hit this into this location. Also, look at our Fibonacci circle here. We know we're looking, well, that wasn't very solid. We're looking for this area to touch. If you can estimate, if this is 89, then from here to here is, oh, I don't know, let's say 30 ticks ish. You know, take your guess on that. It's approximate. But we're looking to see if we can pop this area before, again, look at my original drawing. I wanted from this area, we wanted to look for a big drop. All right, I know we kind of already know where this goes, so it's kind of hard. This is hindsight talking now, but if you guys want to watch this develop, go watch it. You know, if you guys don't think that everything we do here, you think everything we do is talking about hindsight, that's not us either. We do it live in the room every day that the trade day and the trade room is open. All right, so we want to go take this long against the ignition bar. That's it. That's the majority of this entire strategy. Just do not trade against the ignition bar when we've got longs favorable. We're going to take this. Here's how it went down. So now you might ask, well, hold on, Vinny. This bar looks like we're breaking this bar. Yes, but do you see this tail right here? You see it? Probably not thick enough. Let's see if we can zoom in here. But do you see that tail? You see that tail bar right there? This guy went all the way up here to exactly where we thought it would. And after it does that, hey, we're fine. At that point, if it's gone up and it's moved up, I am happy. This is all we need, folks. Right here, if you catch this one right here, from here to here, that's 10. Here, that's 15. Here, that's probably 20. Here, that's 25. This is a 30-tick trade here. That's not too bad, right? Not too much heat. Again, while we were trading this, we did take some heat because this actually came in a little bit. It pin barred about 3 times, and I kept looking for that springboard to try to catch up into this area. But it did. It did make a nice move up for ourselves. I wanted to try to catch it all the way to the top. I don't think I actually ended up catching it all the way to the top, but it hit pretty hard, breaking all the way up there to the top. Now on this trade, I think live, we ended up taking this back the other side because, again, we knew that when it hit this area, I told everybody I've got a big sell box up here that we also had drawn. So we also took this the other direction, and we took this back short after we got our ignition play. But everybody was asking me, Vinny, why are you taking a long here when you're going, you know, we know you've got a big red box up here on our, everybody's looking at my trade plan, and they all saw red. I should have drawn this big red box. I had a big red box up here. They're going, why are you going long here? And I said, because I never trade against an ignition bar. This is a 3-bar ignition. Again, 1, 2, and 3 bars in ignition. I'm going to take this long first, and then I also capitalized on it back down the other direction. Now, we rode this. I can't remember how far we rode it. Again, that's not the focus of this video. Let's get over to the other ignition bar that we took that happened today. Okay, ignition bar 1. This one starts to come in. Now, there are exceptions like this. If they are coming into an area where we've got the golden ropes, these are areas that we might not be able to do it. This is also, I think, an after hours trade here, but this one's looking good. After it breaks through that area, I would have actually looked for it to probably come back up and touch the golden rope and then a big drop, but there it is. 3-bar ignition right there, right? I'm not going to trade against that. We're going to take that short down to an area that we had already identified. VL1 was sitting right there at the time. So now we got this move up and through, and now here was today's. Again, this is an overnight move. This is 4 a.m. Here's 8 a.m. And then boom, early morning this morning, we got this ignition bar right here, right? So we see it again. This was a green side, long side, and then we got an ignition bar that also went with our trade plan. Remember, in our trade plan, we already had this from this area. We wanted to catch this big drop. You see the arrow. From up here, we wanted to see it all the way down, right? Now, we worked our way up, came up into this green line area, and then we broke through the golden ropes, and then boom, put in an ignition bar. This was the initiator of another beautiful move this morning. You can see how easy that is. Again, I'm going to try to shorten up this video now. I know we talked about a lot of things, and I apologize, I want to make it a little bit shorter, but there it is. There's a second ignition bar, taking this all the way down. That, my friends, is the ignition bar. It's what we don't trade against. If you guys want to see us trade that from top to bottom through the entire week, again, it was a beautiful week. I think we were over 20K this week. That was a great area. We're hitting our targets, again, 4K a day targets around here. That's your ignition bar training, folks. If you guys have any other questions, I'll be around for a few more minutes tonight. You can pop those over in the chat box. I'm going to wrap it up here. It's Friday night. I hope you guys had a great week. I just want to say thanks to my crew, thanks to Wham Master for taking it like a champ. I can say if you guys watch what was it, the Tuesday or Wednesday video, I kind of laid into him a little bit this week. So thanks for taking it like a champ. You did a good job. You ended the week well. The next couple days you're just hitting them. Great stuff. I think you put in around 500, and I think he was only trading 2 contracts. Put in around $500 a day. Yesterday, I think he pulled down 250 for not bad for a 1 and 2 contract trade setup. And again, that's from one of our mentorship students. He's got platinum access, but he's trading a live account with us as well. And again, I beat him up a good amount this week. And again, I had to apologize to him. I talked to him at the end of the week. Said, "Hey man, way to hang in there. I did a little drill sergeant action on you. I'm not exactly proud of everything I said because some of them I got maybe a little bit overdone, but that's who I am. It's how we work, right?" And all the time we talk about it. Love me some Jesus, but he's him. I'm me. I'm more like Peter. You know what I'm saying? If y'all know Peter, James, and John, I'm like the Peter of the group. You know what I mean? I got a loud mouth. All right, it is what it is. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Any other questions there? Wham Master got a drilling. Oh, Dirt Farmer, you watched the. Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah, I think it was Wednesday. He traded the wrong account. He had a winning trade, and he's over there, and he didn't know he was trading a sim account. Blows my mind. Oh my word, I was so mad. So I've also let's let the cat out of the bag. I actually funded him an account. All right, I put my money where my mouth is, folks. I know that if you trade my trading strategies, I'm confident that you are going to be successful as long as you follow the rules. That's what I've been telling them. Like, look, one of our rules is you disconnect and reconnect. Anybody else in our crew, if you're trading your live account with NinjaTrader, do not think that you're going to go in there and click all the ATMs or in all the charts that we use, and you're going to try to use your entry chart and you're going to right click and enter on your chart. Do not think that you're going to go through there and click on the right account for all of your charts. You're probably not. Set sim to 0. There you go. Well, there's times to trade your sim, but you need to know if you're going live that day, one trick you must do: disconnect, reconnect. It should be on your checklist in the morning We got him all set up with that, but he didn't do it that day, and I gave him a reaming because we had some other issues earlier that week. He's taken some trades that he wasn't supposed to. Other ones he missed out on a retry. We have retry rules, you know, but we learned a lot this week, did we not, Wham Master? And came away with a positive week for him and his live account as well. That's why you're sorry. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and look, if you're going to be in our crew, again, I'm not here to coddle you. I'm not here to handhold you. I'm not here to be the nicest guy in the world to you. If you want to take my advice, you know, you'll be better for it, hopefully. However, I told people all the time, I am going to turn up the heat. All right, that's my job. I'm going to turn up the heat. But just like a great cup of coffee, you're really not supposed to heat it up. But if you do, you heat up that coffee, depending on the coffee, you're either going to do one of two things. You're either going to get bitter or you're going to get better. And the only two difference between those two things is one letter. That's an I. If you get I in the middle of it, it's all about you, you're going to get bitter. If you put an E there, that's a we, that's a me, that's an us. All right? We can deal with that. You're going to get bitter, you're going to get better. Around here, I hope you get better and that you're going to be better for it. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out. There's that beautiful. Let's see. We got, you know, I got to throw down some eye candy here a little bit. There's our ignition bar training. Thanks for hanging out, folks. For me, Pippy, Robbie, Lunchbot, and Mod Squad, and the rest of the gang, I'm sending out that big H-Town. See ya.